What is going on YouTube? Benjamin Malo here for another educational video covering topics of spirituality, personal development, and activating your true self. Now, I'm excited to be sharing a video today which I have been procrastinating on probably for about 3 months. And I figured instead of waiting till I got it perfect, why don't I just do it? Okay. And this video today is going to be quite an esoteric topic. However, it's going to combine a widely accepted scientific model known as spiral dynamics. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to show how these two integrate, because this channel is all about integrating all of the different threads and all the different perspectives into one holistic whole, so that you can really live as your greatest version. So, what I'd advise you is, if you haven't watched anything about spiral dynamics, if you haven't watched any videos about spiral dynamics, you don't understand what it's all about, or values levels, as it's also known, go ahead and go watch my video called How Your Evolution Evolves. Okay, that's going to give you a 10-minute rundown of what the hell I'm talking about here. If you haven't seen that, this is going to go straight over your head. Okay? So basically, on the one hand, we have spiral dynamics. Spiral dynamics, what that is, as a quick refresher, for those of you who already know what it is it's a model designed back in the 20th century, which charts the progress of human evolution. And from the time we're born until the time we become enlightened, if you believe in that, we go through different stages of evolution. And it starts with the state where we are associated with red level thinking, okay? And in spiral dynamics, the red level, also known as level 3, is known to be a level of power. It's all about power. It's all about breaking away from the tribe. It's all about asserting one's independence and authority and taking things by force. And actually, this is the sociological phenomenon that we observe in toddlers, right? The terrible twos. When a toddler starts to develop its sense of self, it starts to take things using power. It starts to associate itself, its ego, with objects, okay? It starts to look at how it can manipulate people, other toddlers, other kids, to get what it wants. It's a very selfish age and stage of life. So that's kind of where we start with spiral dynamics. You know, to have a meaningful conversation about spiral dynamics, that's where we start. We start with level red, also known as values level 3, okay? After someone progresses from red, they go to blue, right? And blue is all about where you understand that you are mortal, okay? You have a physical body that can be killed. And usually this is when the little toddler or the teenager, because we cycle through these stages back and forth throughout life, this is when the toddler realizes that, hey, I need to cooperate with other people. I need to subject myself to a higher authority if I'm going to get what I want. It's not enough for me to just go around grabbing other people's toys and stealing food and like beating other kids in the face. I actually have to respect that there are rules, okay? And that is when the red level thinker, the person who exists in the red level of consciousness, evolves to the blue level, otherwise known as values level 4, okay? And blue's all about religion, the law and order of society, conforming to a higher authority. And so this actually happens to be where most of society falls into today. Most of society is living in conformity to a law or a higher authority, the government, institutions, education, the medical system. We don't question these things when we're in the blue stage. And that is for the sake of our own survival. Each level functions to serve the organism's survival. That's the level at which the organism's neurology is at. Once the blue person starts to wake up, they begin to realize that, hey, maybe I can use these rules to my own advantage, right? Maybe I don't have to follow what I'm being told. Maybe I don't have to stay working at the same company for 40 years and collect my gold watch at retirement age and pat myself on the head and tell myself I've lived a good life. Maybe I could start my own company. Maybe I could become an entrepreneur. And that's what brings us to the orange stage, right? In spiral dynamics, that's when we progress to values level 5. We start to develop a sense of independence. We start to think independently. We start to compete. We start to try to take back the power for ourselves. And so orange is all about asserting one's own self on one's environment. Self-expression. That's what orange is all about. And so once the orange thinker has amassed as much wealth as they possibly can, or gone out and had as much sex as they possibly can, gathered as many material possessions as they possibly can, at one point, if the orange person is ready to evolve to the next level, they'll start questioning their model of the world. They'll start asking themselves, hey, is this actually what I want? Do I want to live a life where it's all about chasing money and I don't even know who my kids are? That's what the orange person starts to realize as they go down this path of level 5, right? And so once you exceed the limitations of level 5, that's when you start to have a spiritual awakening. And that's what brings orange to the next level, which is green. The green stage in spiral dynamics is values level 6. Okay? And if you're familiar again with spiral dynamics, this is tier 1 thinking. Still tier 1 thinking. And so the orange person progresses into the green stage and they realize, oh, I am not just my physical body. I'm going to die one day. Sound kind of familiar, right? I'm going to die one day and I've got to start thinking about the planet. I've got to start thinking about other people. I've got to get connected. I've got to have a community. I want to have some meaningful relationships. And that's when the orange thinker transitions into green. They start thinking about the bigger picture. They start getting interested in things like universal consciousness. They start getting interested in love, community, mutual decision making. It's all about us. It's not about me anymore. And so that's how they progress. Then, as we keep on progressing, as this model keeps on evolving, as a being, as a conscious soul or a being has its journey of evolution, they get to limitations of green when they realize, hey, no one's actually doing anything here. Everyone's just kind of screwing around. It's kind of like just a big circle jerk, and yeah, we all love each other, and we're all supportive of creating a brighter future, and we're all spiritual and all that, but hang on a second, don't we actually have to take some action and fix some of these world problems? Shouldn't we, start systemizing things a little bit differently? Shouldn't we start designing solutions, technologies, systems, different financial institutions, different political institutions? Shouldn't we start innovating on that stuff so that we can actually make a change in the planet instead of just kumbayaing and doing yoga and meditation the whole time? And so the yellow thinker begins to emerge out of this green stage when they realize, I'm an individual and all of these people sitting around waiting to make a mutual decision on everything aren't actually getting anything done. If I'm going to get something done, I need to break away again and take some action. Integrating everything that I've learned already, integrating everything I've already evolved through, integrating the red, the orange, the green, and the blue into this new worldview, which is yellow, otherwise known as values level 7. Values level 7 is what's known as the first level on tier 2 when we're talking about spiral dynamics. And tier 2 is characterized by an ability to integrate all of the other levels of thinking into one holistic whole. The yellow person can have a conversation with any of these other people and get on just fine with them because they accept and integrate all of these aspects of themselves. They're kind of like a more holistic worldview. And now they're able to use that to create a difference in the world. And that's where things start to get kind of exciting for me personally. Okay? And so once the yellow person who flips back over into their left brain, into their left hemisphere, once they realize that they can do all this systemization and they can do all this big picture thinking and they can they can be a leader and they can start a social business which has an influence on the world and generates a profit at the same time, makes a positive difference. Once the yellow person begins to realize that, hey, wait a second, I'm a little bit too stuck in my head. I'm a little bit too much on this data side of things, a little bit too much on this left brain side of things. And, you know, I'm starting to feel like I've lost touch with the big picture. I'm starting to feel like I've become too much of an individual. And the yellow person can have all kinds of existential crises where they're still stuck in addictions, they're still having relationship problems, they're still, you know, maybe caught up in materialism to some extent, and they haven't quite, it's like there's this part of them which they haven't quite peeled back. They've integrated these other parts, but they haven't quite discovered, they haven't quite embodied and integrated universal consciousness in a human body. Right? So that's the existential crisis of yellow. They're still individualistic in that sense that they can still get caught up in all the bullshit. Even though they've transcended these other levels, and for the most part they're coming from a place of love, the yellow person isn't stressed out about surviving. They're not stressed out about, you know, all the common problems that face the average person. They're not stressed out about money problems so much, relationship. They've basically got a handle on their life and they're thinking about the whole world. But they get to a limit when they stay too stuck in their left brain. And that's when they evolve to turquoise, right? So turquoise might be somewhere up here. It's all still very hypothetical because this is an emerging field. This spiral dynamics is still an emerging field. And when it was designed, the actual designers of spiral dynamics only kind of went up to about yellow level. So this is an evolving model. This is by no means complete. It's an open system. So the yellow person transcends yellow when they're able to reintegrate all of these other aspects of self, including purple, right? And I haven't mentioned purple, but purple's actually way down on level 2. Purple's actually one of the earliest stages where all of this began. And purple is all about the tribe. It's all about, you know, the collective consciousness of the tribe, not the big collective consciousness, but the tribe. It's all about magic. It's all about spirits and energies. Now that's just another name for spirits, energies. And so the yellow person begins to reintegrate even the purple aspects of self. And it opens up a whole new dimension of being, a whole new dimension of experience. And that is when the yellow person transcends and moves to turquoise, way up here somewhere, okay? I'm not even going to go into what turquoise is because it's just, frankly, it's inexplicable for me right now because I'm still evolving myself into that. I'm still understanding what turquoise means for me and learning how to integrate that. But what I want to point out here is the correlation between the chakra system and the spiral dynamic system. And for me, this is a fascinating topic because if you start digging into spiral dynamics, you're not going to find anyone linking the two together. And in fact, Don Beck and the different guys who had a lot of involvement in putting this model together and developing it, okay, they were very much against associating chakras with values levels because they didn't want people to take it the wrong way, and that's understandable. But I was really curious about this because I know, having studied many different philosophies, belief systems, and spiritual disciplines, that there's always a connection between everything. We live in an interconnected universe, and that's actually yellow thinking coming through for me. And so color has a vibrational property. And so it got me curious, and then one day I figured it out, how these two are connected. And I'm going to show you right now, okay? So, like I said at the beginning, we start out with red, the root chakra, okay? And when we start with red, we evolve, like I said already, up to blue when we realize that we are mortal. We can't just take things non-stop and expect to function in society. We've got to start thinking about the big picture. Maybe there's an afterlife, maybe there's more powerful people out there than me. Maybe I need to steady myself a little and appreciate that there's a bigger picture and start to live by some rules. Okay, and they become a blue thinker, they become a conformist. And so already we've gone from self-centered to others-centered, right? That's the transition from red to blue, self to other. Then the blue person begins to evolve when they realize that, hey, these rules, they suck. Or, I can use these rules for my own advantage, and they come down to orange, right? Down to the Sacral Chakra. And then the orange person, once they go through their existential crisis and realize that they can't keep living the same way, they come up to green. They evolve to the Heart Chakra, right? So I'm just going to color these green so it's a little bit easier to see, even though the quality is probably not that great, right? And we know that orange to green, again, is self to other. So we're swapping back and forward, we're polarized, and then we're gradually coming in closer and closer. So the orange person goes to green, and then after the green person has their awakening and they realize that consensus kind of sucks sometimes and I want to have a bit of independence again, they come back down to yellow, right? Back down to the Solar Plexus, the center of will, the part of us which is all about asserting ourselves, self-expression. That's the Solar Plexus. And then, once we realize that, hey, that's not really where it's at, that's when we shoot up out of this whole area and we collect purple on the way and we go out through the crown. Okay? So, why is that significant? Well, this is the pattern. We've got, I'll just draw it over here so you can see it as well. We've got root to throat, then we've got throat to sacral, then we've got sacral back to, to sacral, heart, and then we've got heart back down to solar plexus, and then we've got, boom, straight out the top. As we ascend, as we evolve into the next level of consciousness, which is outside of our current framework for chakras and the current framework of spiral dynamics, okay? So what I want you to see here is that there's an oscillation, there's a wave, there's an up and down type movement, a back and forward type movement, which is characteristic of the universe. Energy oscillates, right? And we're oscillating from self to other, back to self, back to other, back to self. And so once I saw that, I was pretty excited because I finally could draw a connection. I could finally draw a parallel between these two really quite inspiring models of human evolution. You know, the evolution of energies throughout our body, how we unfold and expand into more and more of what we really are. I was really excited about that. And I know that this wasn't on the internet at the time, so I thought I'd make this video and share it with you. So what do you actually do with that? Well, if you're on this journey of evolving your consciousness and you're wanting to move through those levels, you might already think, oh, you know, I just want to open all my chakras, I want to align all my chakras. Then this is going to help you. Jump into spiral dynamics. Start doing some research about spiral dynamics. I'm going to be putting a lot more information out about how this works, about how you can work through those different levels, because with every different level you evolve through, you're letting go of old problems, you're letting go of smaller problems, you're healing those parts of yourself that have held you back, and you're opening up entirely new possibilities, entirely new ways of being and expressing yourself. And it's really quite an amazing journey. And your capability of doing things and being is heightened with every new level that you expand to. And it's not to say any levels are better than others, that's definitely not what I'm saying here. It's just that if you want to experience those higher levels, Start to understand spiral dynamics. Start to do your research on the chakra system, and you'll see this correlation, this back and forward. And you'll be able to identify where you are now and the accompanying problems of existence that you face at that level, which is going to give you some very clear insight as to how you can work through those. And just a heads up, if you do want to evolve to tier 2, which is yellow, turquoise and above, you're going to have to heal all those lower chakras. You're going to have to find a way to integrate those. And that's what I've been doing myself. And it's a fucking roller coaster ride, but it's just part of the journey. So I truly hope you enjoyed that video. The videos I share are really all about integrated spirituality. I very much have taken the work of Ken Wilber and been very inspired by that. If you don't know who Ken Wilber is, go check him out. And I want to carry that on, that way of approaching spirituality in an integrated fashion. That's how the yellow and the turquoise thinker experiences reality, in an integrated fashion. They bring all the bits together. It's not about being a woo-woo, floating off the planet, spiritual person. There's nothing wrong with that. But if you want to really progress and evolve, then you need to bring together the left brain, the right brain, the esoteric, the rational. You have to find a way to collapse all of those seeming opposites into one paradox and integrate that paradox, and that's going to enable you to evolve, if that's what you want to do. Oh my goodness, I'm so glad that I made that video. It's been literally something I've been meaning to do for months, and then I found out someone who I told this about has already made a video about it, and I was like, fuck, gotta go make that video. So it's a shambles, did that really quickly, but that gives you an insight as to how those two fit together. Thank you for watching. Make sure you like this video, subscribe if you haven't already, tag a friend who's into weird, esoteric, evolving spirituality. Very much an emerging field. Hope you enjoyed that, and I'll see you soon. Peace. Oh my goodness, 22.